A fellow champions here. We got Bhavs in the building. You lot asked for it. I delivered. We said, my boy, you good? It's been a minute.
Chilling, my bro. We are champions. We can't forget that. So, all good, man. How you doing, my fellow champion?
I'm doing well, man. I mean, obviously, England have gone out of the World Cup. Temporary disappointment, but normal procedures have to resume, innit? Like, I'm happy that no Arsenal players were involved, etc., etc. Obviously, like, you know what? Let's start with the World Cup, man. What have you made of the World Cup? What have you made of the World Cup?
It's been a great time. I'll be real. I've been enjoying it more as a fan than I have as a content creator. I've done a lot of content around it, but going out, drinking up, enjoying with the family and friends, that's the vibes, innit? And it's summertime. But in terms of the actual quality of football has been up there. England-wise, it's good actually that Rice was off when we conceded 2 goals because as Arsenal fans, I like to, well, as myself as an Arsenal fan, I like to run narratives, and it's good to know that Rice was off the pitch.
Run the narratives, man.
But yeah, no, it's been good, man. Like watching Messi and Mbappe take over the tournament. Now seeing that final Argentina versus Spain, I'm looking forward to that as a high quality game of football. It's been good. It's been really good.
Who was your money on before the World Cup? Like, who was your favourites? Was you with France? Was you England? Was you Spain? Where was you at? Argentina, etc.
It was a boring answer. It was France. Every single person I asked said France. And you know what? I don't even blame anyone for saying that because you got Elise and Dembele and Mbappe. It made the most sense. But then I think Spain showed them up the other day in terms of when you have the right system around you and you got a clear identity even as a national team, you're gonna turn up when it matters the most.
I think you're bang on the money, man. Who you got for Spain, Argentina?
I actually got Spain, I got Spain.
Same.
I rate them highly. And I feel like it's because like Argentina got the character. I wouldn't be surprised if Spain take the lead. If I'm right in saying, I think Argentina for most of these knockouts have gone 1-0 down, sometimes even 2-0 down and have come back. So you can't discount them, man, when they got that alien in their team as well. You just never know what he produces. But I got money on Spain because I just feel like they're even against England, I didn't see Argentina like that amazing. I just think we were that poor and we were too scared and the manager became a coward in the end of the game. But in terms of Spain, I feel like they've got the overall system. And people looked at England like Arsenal because we take some set pieces and we've got Rice and Saka, but Spain defend like Arsenal. Like, you think about it.
Yeah, and England tried to, but they didn't have the Arsenal players on the pitch.
Exactly. So if Spain decides to sit down and shut up shop, I don't think Argentina will break them down. Even against England, like if you have Rice on the pitch, does Enzo get that space to score a goal? I don't think so. So Argentina have shown more frailties. They should have lost to Egypt, and Egypt pulled it. And they should have lost yesterday if we had. Exactly. Whereas Spain have kind of just got the job done, and then they've got the goal up front coming off the bench, or in number 6, number 8 role, and Mikel Merino. So I've got my money on Spain. But if Messi does it, man. I don't really care for either.
You've been flirting with saying it, yeah. You've said I've touched on it about England going out, and you've mentioned England in passing comment, yeah. But like, what have you made of Tuchel? What have you made of England? What did you make of Argentina? And I mean, I know you ain't got a crystal ball, but where the hell do we go from here? It's another so close but so far type of thing.
I'm not too concerned, to be honest. I mean, in the case of Thomas Tuchel, like if you told, that's our second ever semi-final since 1966, after 2018, right?
I wasn't here.
So
if it was you, so
exactly. So in the sense of like he's done decent to get us there, but look at the teams that we played to get to that stage. Can you look at a single game, even Norway? Like, Norway were decent, by the way, but any team that we beat, we're like, okay, fair enough. You deserve to be in that semi-final. The first real decent team we played that had the quality to break us down got found out. So I think Tuchel showed exactly why, compared to the other international managers, because we don't have Lionel Messi, a freak in our team. We've got very good players, and we don't have a top system like Spain have. His tactics are going to cost you in certain games. And I think I saw a video of a Bayern Munich fan talking about it, saying every England fan might have been surprised, but Bayern Munich fans weren't. And it is similar to when they got knocked out of the semi-finals by Real Madrid a couple of years ago with Tuchel, where they took the lead from Alphonso Davies, long shot, banging goal, and then I think the 75th minute onwards, he decided to part the bus, take off his attackers, and you can't do that against Messi. That's what you can't do. If they didn't have Messi, we would have probably got the job done. And then you take off, we parked the bus, and someone said it on Twitter, actually, the driver of the bus is Declan Rice. And you take the driver off, and we can see 2 goals.
Bus crashes.
Yeah, bus crash, man.
It's annoying, man, because I feel the first 60 minutes, it was good. Obviously, we got the goal, we was mucking in. I don't feel the game was necessarily entertaining, much like most games in it, but football summed up by moments. As you alluded to there, you've taken off Rice, you've taken off James, you've gone back 5, you showed your hand early. Obviously, we're not privy to everything in it, but I do think football is about moments and it's about psychological stuff. at some point, Argentina had to look around and say, you know what, England are scared, they're giving the ball away. There's no outlets. There's no winger driving with it. As you mentioned with Rice, there's no one that can either make those tackles or hold on to the ball and all of that kind of stuff. And then you look at it, football's decided in both ends. We didn't really create anything. Kane was not up front where both of their centre-halves are on a yellow. Obviously, yes, on the face of it, Enzo, great goal. But just before he put that ball in the back of the net, there was an effort where Pickford's tipped it out. We've not got close to him. There was a couple of headers that went unpunished from our perspective. Obviously, we've lost our men for Lautaro Martinez's goal. So I don't feel I'll just blame Tuchel, but I do think his tactics, it played a massive part. In fact, I think it did tip the balance. And my thing is there's a way to lose, because there's a reality where we keep everything the same way. We lose 2-1, everyone's still on Tuchel. And I just feel we went out on a whimper. I'm a big fan of having absolutely no regrets. But I think there'll be plenty of regrets with Tuchel and these players. Like a lot of these guys are not guaranteed to play for England again at a Euros, let alone a World Cup. It sucks because, in our lifetime now, the golden generation didn't do anything. We've I won't say we've flirted with success, but we've kind of flirted with it. Like, you've got to 2 Euro finals, you got to a quarters of a World Cup, now you've got to a semis. And again, on the topic of no regrets, you're 90 minutes away from a World Cup final. There's no shame in losing to Lionel Messi and all of the talented players that they have in addition to him, but it's how you do it. You made it easier for them, for yourselves, and you curled up into a ball. So ultimately, that's exactly what's happened. I do feel in terms of Arsenal, Rice, barely fit, gave a good account of himself. Eze was really a non-story. Saka obviously got 3 assists. I think when the tournament began, for all the criticism of Noni looked good. Obviously, when it got to the serious end, you could see very quickly it's time not to play him. So that's the World Cup. The next thing I want to ask you is, obviously, I saw you at the parade, didn't it? And it's the first time you're on the platform again. So I know it was a few months ago, but let's go back to Arsenal obviously being champions. What did it feel like? Take us back to how you felt when it was announced that we're champions, man. 22 years, many an L. We kind of created content at the same time, not just us, but all us Arsenal content creators. And them times there was in the trenches. It's got a bit better now, and now we've got to the pinnacle.
Yeah, can't really complain, man. It was amazing. And even we went to the Champions League final at the Emirates, and the day after, I'm like, okay, wait, like maybe it's gonna affect the fans. It didn't. You wouldn't even realize that we lost the final the day before. I think it's more the rival fans that kept mentioning it, saying, "Oh, you lost the final," but we didn't really care. And it was surreal. I think if I could pick one of the days to relive, it wouldn't be the parade. It'd probably be like when we clinched the title. When City lost drew against Bournemouth, whoever it was, that day, because it was just like, we're going to the Emirates, and I got there late. I got there
immediately.
Exactly. I got there at like 1 a.m. and it was still active. And it's like,
why'd you get there so late?
Because obviously I wanted to do some content when I came home. I went to the Big Six studio to just turn up there, surprise them, came back home, did content, I went straight there. And that was amazing. I think the parade itself was nice, but I had done it twice already, because you had almost 2 parades prior, the 2 pre-parades. But I definitely think that Tuesday night was something special. And yeah, it felt surreal because I've waited so long. And it was when I watched it on the TV and you saw the graphics as Arsenal were champions. And then it cut to the Arsenal players celebrating. Yeah, it took a minute to settle in. I don't think it settled in until after the Crystal Palace trophy lift. That's when it really settled in, seeing them with the trophies. I was like, okay, like, now we're champions. And it feels nice. It feels really exciting because now we go into a season where, like, as content creators, you'll know about this. You always get asked, okay, if Arteta doesn't win, does he get sacked? And for this summer, we haven't been asked that question a single time. I mean, people still run the agenda of like, oh, if he hadn't have won. But what did Kanye say? I guess we'll never know.
Facts. And that's another thing, yeah. Like, obviously, you ain't got a crystal ball. We'll get into transfers in a minute, yeah. But obviously, we know about Arsenal, innit? Like, and even rivals, you know what we're good at. You know the areas of improvements. Obviously, we've won the league. We know how Arteta likes to do things. We know the players, etc. So there's a degree of what we know. When I look at Man United, I don't know what long-term they look like with Carrick in a full season. I don't know what City looks like with Maresca, losing a generational Pep Guardiola. I don't know what Xabi Alonso means for Chelsea. I don't know what Areola means for Liverpool. Obviously, I don't think Spurs are in the conversation for a Premier League. I do rate De Zerbi, but I don't know what they look like. So it's like, 1, are we the favourites? And 2, how do you look at the rivals?
We are the favourites. We are the favourites by a country mile.
I want this.
It's as clear as day. I don't even have to argue against that because they've changed their managers. That's the key thing to focus on. We don't have to fight against Pep. And I'm not disrespecting Maresca or disrespecting Areola. I just don't know what you're going to do in a title race because I ain't seen it from you. Right now, the only manager in the league that has won a Premier League title, if I'm right in saying, is Mikel Arteta. And that feels nice. It feels different to go into a season. And obviously, I'm going to hear it when they announce Arsenal as the champions at the start of the season and the commentators keep saying I love that. But it's not just the fact that we're favourites because of Arteta. It's because the players now have that experience as well. They know how to win a title race. And the only team that has the calibre of players to compete with us is Man City. because we saw it last year when they got the act together, when,
They
Cherky
ran
turned
us
up and
close, man.
Haaland is
April was
Haaland.
scary.
They ran as close for sure. But I think Pep played a massive part behind that as well. Maresca is going to be a good shout for them, but we'll see. I don't think a lot of City fans are really convinced about Maresca just yet. They probably wanted a more high-profile name after Pep Guardiola. But Mikel Arteta right now is the high-profile name. When we talk about who's the best manager in the league right now, you're going to have to say Mikel Arteta. Thank God we're out of the Unai Emery debates. That league title really saved us. So, yeah, I think we're favourites, man. And look, I know a lot of Arsenal fans, or a few Arsenal fans right now, a bit concerned about our transfer policy and the fact that we ain't signed any players. I know Tzolis that was kind of confirmed today. But I do believe that we're going to sign at least a marquee attacker, Rodgers or Barcola. We're going to sign one of those. And a midfielder as well. And then after that, centre-back or an Alvarez. We've got enough to win a title there. And even the squad that was there last year, you take away Trossard now, and you sign another high-profile attacker, we still probably have the best squad in the league, But one thing that I am kind of fascinated to watch is how do we survive without Saka, maybe without Rice and Saliba for the start of the season?
The spine of our side. And I was going to ask you that. I'm happy you jumped into that, because obviously we're going to touch on it, but obviously we've signed, we've reached an agreement around Tzolis today. I know it's not a needle mover, it's not a gas name, it's not, as you said, a Morgan Rogers, a Guimarães, etc. But there are fans probably didn't learn from last year, in that you were crashing out last year. By the end of it, you was loving everything Andrea Berta done in it. So for me, you're allowed to be nervous. You're allowed to pocket watch and watch the rivals and think, oh, hang on, we're Premier League champions. What are we doing? But I always say, don't judge any club at the start. Judge them at the end. Because at the end, you can't do anything in it. So I understand that. The one thing that if I was to crash out and put my energy around Bhavs is these injuries, bro. Because for the last 2 years, and I'm not blaming Arteta or blaming the players, but our players have been running to the ground in it. This is the dynamics of football. They've been running to the ground for the last 2 years. They've gone into the World Cup. And then obviously you mentioned them, Saliba, Timber. You could indirectly say Benjamin White because he's our first choice right back if Timber isn't there. Gabriel's been through the wounds. We know Saliba's carrying an ankle injury and a back injury that's put him out. Declan Rice is on empty. We're seeing Saka's minutes kind of managed a bit carefully. Odegaard the same. So that would be like the spine of our side. Any team is going to suffer with injuries, much less the spine. And I don't want that to derail our season. So it's like, what is your thinking around that? Because you kind of touched on it, coping without Saliba, potentially Saka. Rice is the big one for me because I think there's many people, Bhavs, that you could say is our most important player. You could say Raya, you could say Saliba, you could say Gabriel, you could say a fit Saka, whatever have you. At this moment in time, though, I think they've all got cases. But at this moment in time, I'd say Rice, because if Rice isn't in that team, I feel nervous, just like West Ham away. But what do you make of that?
I feel like there has been like a turnaround behind the scenes, right? A lot of our medical staff have been kind of sacked. So there's clearly something that Arteta looked at there. And you know what I liked is when I heard the articles after the season, when Arsenal obviously clinched the title, of how Arteta adapted at the final part after the City result, and how rather than doubling down on his tactics, he said, look, okay, my players deserve more rest. And he gave them more time off to breathe. And, when you prioritize active recovery, you're going to see those results. And I think that's what Arteta would have learned is like these players, when you give them a chance to breathe, I can trust them now. I don't need to be rigid with them anymore. They ain't the same team of 2021, 22. I have to, tell them everything they have to do. They know what they're doing. And I feel like that's going to play a part of the season. And when you take it with the pressure that, look, people say that we don't have to win the league title. I still think we do. Why not capitalize? Why not capitalize in the sense that we have the best team? Exactly. It's not just one title and out. We're not trying to be what Liverpool did. And we don't have to fight against Pep either. So I think in terms of the injuries, I'm looking towards Arteta to trust the squad players a little bit more as well. And he did it in parts last season, but I think it was by force. So if like a left back injured, then Nkapia might start. Or, Mascara might start if Saliba's injured. So now I want to see you trust these players more. But hence why we're going for first team targets as well. Like if we sign, let's say centre back Ezri Konsa, he can play in the first team. There'll be games where he don't have to start William Saliba. And I want to look at the other leagues now, like, let's say PSG in Ligue 1, and how they rest Dembele. I know he was injured for the first part of last year, but they rest Dembele and then they get him going towards the end of the season. I want to see Arsenal prioritize their stars almost as new signings that can come into the, more important part of the season. And if you look at how Man City run last year's title race, let's be real, after they beat us, they should have won the title.
Yeah,
and if they don't draw against Everton,
it was scary, man.
Exactly.
I remember when they beat
Chelsea, don't draw against,
it's going away.
If they don't draw against Everton, they win that title. That draw saved us because Man City kind of bottled it themselves there. But they timed their season. The first half, they were decent, just in the in the race of it. And when the real part of the season came alive, past that Carabao Cup final, they timed it. They timed it to perfection. And I think that's the way we can do it this season. We don't need to start off insanely good. You actually want to kind of grow into the season, and that's where it helps when you're in the Champions League and in the Carabao Cup final again, potentially, or the FA Cup. Your players are fully sharp and ready. So our squad is definitely capable of doing so. And ultimately, even as fans, there will be parts of this year we're going to go, we could have signed that player, and it's not looking the same as last year. Don't judge the feeling until we get over the line or the season's over. Because last year there was enough times I was thinking to myself, does this feel like a title-winning season though? Like, would the team that's winning a title make me feel like this? Surely it's meant to be rosy and not. And then after we won the title, no one cared. No one cared how we did it, how many points that we had, what teams that we lost to, what teams that we beat. We won the title, and we were celebrating outside the Emirates. That's it. When you see Arsenal with a C next to their name, and that's about it.
Yeah, I think you're spitting facts. I wanted to ask you as well, because one thing I have thought in that on the best of days, whether it's Arsenal or the other big teams in England, there's that pressure in it just from playing for Arsenal, full stop, whether we're, as you alluded to, when we was in the trenches or when we've been fighting for a title and we've fallen short. Obviously, under Mikel Arteta, we finished second 3 times. So we're so close, but so far. And all the immediate talking points you could talk about this current modern day Arsenal. But I also feel when you talk about them talking points, you also got to throw another talking point in that. Obviously, you had the 22 years of not winning the Premier League. So that was like an added kind of spice into the pot, if that makes sense. With that kind of weight lifted off the shoulders, what do you think that means for our club? Because there are some fans, that think, sometimes our players have played in pressurized environments because of anxiety, because of the question I asked you. Some people saying, Mikel Arteta, maybe he puts the handbrake down, quote unquote, and we play more attacking football. Last year was a needs must. Like, what do you think of the mental lift? And what do you think winning that first title could do for us going into this year?
I'm more fascinated by what it does to the fans. Because I remember there was a quote from a Bournemouth player after they beat us last season, and he was talking about how you could feel the anxiety of the fans, and the players could feel it as well. So I'm more fascinated to see how the fans are this season, because there will be tough moments. Every season has tough moments. You're not going to win every single game. You're going to drop points in games that you shouldn't drop points in. It happens to every single team. So I am fascinated to see how, as a fan base, we look at these players now, knowing they've got themselves over the line before, right? And that's what I'm more looking forward towards. But then in terms of the players themselves, there will be less pressure on their shoulders. So in those games, when it comes to those title running moments, if we haven't blown another team out of the water, which you definitely can do, then you start to wonder, okay, cool, these players know what they're doing. They know how to win these games. They know that if you lose a game, even against your title rivals, we did not beat City a single time last season. We still beat City to a title, right? Just like how Liverpool used to beat City year and year at Anfield, and City would still win the league title.
It's a marathon, right? Not a sprint.
Exactly. So that's the key thing for me, is just wondering to see how the players are with the lack of pressure. And look, Champions League is a priority for me. I want a league title, and I feel like
talk to me about the champs then, man.
But the champs is what I want, because I remember going to, as I said, the Emirates last season, and kind of coming home after and seeing, I think I saw a United fan with a United shirt on, and I saw a Liverpool fan and a Chelsea fan. I'm thinking to myself, what did you guys win to wear your shirt so proudly today? That's what I said to her. I was like, wait, what? Like, cool. When I won the title, I was wearing my shirt loudly and proudly. I was going to Westfields, and I'm seeing Arsenal shirts everywhere. We won something. That's why we're embracing it. What did you guys win? But obviously they were saying Champions of Europe, never sing that. So I wanted to sing Champions of Europe. I'm not expecting a Champions League, but I'm hoping for one. And I feel like the signings that we could be making this summer, if you go back to that final last year against PSG and you throw Rodgers in, or you throw Guimarães in, or you throw in an Alvarez, do also do better.
Some individual brilliance.
The answer is yes. And that's why even Rodgers yesterday, when he got the assist, I was like, okay, that's why you paid the money. Because he wasn't outstanding, he wasn't world class, but he provided a moment in the game. If I let's say he replaces Martin Odegaard as a number 10, does Odegaard provide that assist, that one final ball, killer pass to find Gordon? I don't think so.
Odegaard of old, probably not of the modern day.
I don't think Odegaard's ever been that final pass player, like that consistent, like guarantee pass. That's a pass that I expect De Bruyne to make, or Fernandes to make. Odegaard's different. We need to stop comparing Odegaard to Fernandes or De Bruyne. I think he is more of like a Vitinha. He's a tempo setter.
He's more of a Bernardo Silva. That's my right.
Yeah, Bernardo Silva, Vitinha.
He should be played everywhere, bro.
And that's what what I was also thinking about. A lot of Arsenal fans looked at that Norway game against England and against Brazil, and they said, look, Odegaard just shows his levels then. I think he's a world-class midfielder. I also think, though, in that Norway team, he's made to look better because they don't have what we have in the build-up phase. So for Norway, he has to go.
He does the same role for Norway as he does for Arsenal. He conducts the press and all of that kind of
stuff. For Arsenal, we don't need that as much because we've got enough players around Odegaard to do the job for us. We don't have to have our player dropping our number 10 on paper, dropping deeper. Our number 10 can stay high up the field, and he can be the getting the goals and get the assist. Whereas for Norway, they don't have that build-up player like a Calafiori, or they don't have a Miles Lewis Skelly, they don't have a Zubimendi, they don't have a Saliba or Gabriel. So Odegaard has to drop deeper. Exactly. So this is where I'm fascinated to see if we do get Rodgers where he plays. He'll probably start on the left hand side, but isn't that the role that Eze was brought in to do? Eze was meant to be the left like winger / number 10. So is that, do you know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of questions I have, but first things first, let's get them in an Arsenal shirt first. Rodgers is not an Arsenal player just yet. And now I feel like the World Cup's over. I'm sick and tired of hearing about and reporting this as well. The whole, Arsenal are going to ramp up their interest and the bid's coming soon and the personal terms are agreed. Okay, let's see if this deal gets done.
I think you're bang on the money, and we do take long to get transfers or the protracted transfers, the household names in it. Gyökeres took a minute, Eze took a minute, Rice took a minute. So I know Arsenal fans don't want to hear it. Stay patient. I've got a question, in which I do think there's some fair criticisms with Arteta, because I was saying last season, I'm gassed about Eze, like what Gyökeres could be, but as much as the players have to do it for themselves, I think Arteta has to platform them. It's one thing buying trainers and designer clothes, Bhavs. It's like me and you could buy the clothes, the same outfit, Girls could say you look nice in it. They could say I look shit because you've buttoned it up properly. You've done what you've needed to do. I'm not styling it properly. And that's what I mean about attackers. So I asked this question, and again, it's a bit harsh because I have seen Saka, Martinelli, Martin Odegaard. At the end of the day, Gyökeres got 21 goals, 14 in the league. I have seen players have their standout season. Smith Rowe way back then, under Mikel Arteta, Dalman doing his thing. But I've never quite got the feeling that players are platformed right. So it's like, even if we sign Rodgers and this one and that one, like, is there a question for Arteta having to platform them to go out there and do their thing? I know they have to track back and defend. You mentioned PSG, they're the best example because they're front three, all the talent in the world, score goals, do all of that stuff. They still have to go backwards. It's like, is signing them just one part? Is there something Arteta needs to do to platform these players? Because even with Saka, people are saying, he's spending too much time in his own half, receiving off the halfway line, yada, yada, yada.
I don't think we're going to see a massive change in terms of that Saka element, personally. I think that is Arteta's style of play. And to be fair, if you look at PSG, I know they don't have to play as intense games in League O, but in the Champions League, that's why Kvara or Dembele or Doué, they all track back, they run like dogs, right? That's not going to change. But the difference I see now, or I want to see, is the personality in the build-up phase. Because last year, there's so many games I'm watching going, we cannot pass out of the back. We cannot pass out of the back. No one's collecting the ball. And until Rice moved into the 6 and Zubimendi came out of the team and Lewis Skelly came in, that we had something going there. But there was too many games up until that Fulham game. Exactly. We didn't have... And this is why I like the targets that we've looked at in midfield. Buadi, Scott, Guimarães. They all play with personality. They're a player that, they demand the ball in tough moments, especially as someone like Bruno Guimarães. So I think that's what Arteta has looked to profile-wise. I want personality players. You need to know what the players you're signing. Sometimes you sign a player, you don't know what he is. If we sign a Guimarães, we know exactly what he is, where he excels, what he's good at, and what he brings to the team. And likewise, Morgan Rodgers. So that's why I think Arteta needs to add some personality into the team by trusting players like Miles Lewis-Skelly and seeing him play as a 6 last year or as on a double pivot. That was a surprise. No one expected that to happen. And I feel like that's the change I want to see Arteta go towards, is trust your more personality-based players. Because, bro, that game against City, where obviously we had all the chances and Havertz should have scored, I looked at our midfield compared to theirs. And Zubimendi's good and Rice is really good, but they didn't have the on-the-ball personality. And that's why I really want that. Exactly. I want that Bruno profile. I want that Guimarães profile. I want someone who goes, you know what, in that game, give me the ball. Raya, give me the ball. I'll make it happen. I don't want players that get phased out of games. And that's the concern, Howard Zubimendi. Because I don't think it's a concern of quality of player. I think he's got the quality. It's more the mindset.
Psychologically, I think it's taking a hit, man.
Can you, in that Man City game, demand the ball? Can the game become a Martin Zubimendi game? I can see Rice do it, even off the ball. I can see Bruno Guimarães, we saw Rodri do it, and Bernardo Silva. Even Odegaard can do it.
Skelly as well.
Exactly, Lewis Skelly. I want personality. That's the difference for what I want from Arteta this year. But I also feel like we will see a double down as well. He is going to be as strong defensively. I don't expect us to come out this year be ultra attacking, because I feel like Arteta likes the certainty. He's not an uncertain manager
defensively. So why change?
Exactly, you don't change what's
double down on that.
We don't get to a Champions League final because of that.
Let's let the players play, bro.
Yeah, so it's more about balancing out. But Arteta is, as I said, he likes certainty. He needs to know what's happening in the game. He does not like the uncertainty. And when you have players
that's which all these managers are.
That's what it is, and that's because. And I saw the video of a day of Big. I talked about my socials actually, but Big Sam, talking about how managers are coaching players too much now, and if you don't play their way, you're out of the team. There's a reason behind that.
That's the modern day.
That's how the game is going. Why do you think Real Madrid keep sacking their personality managers to get Alonso? It doesn't work out, but they keep trying to do that because they realize the game's going that way. Because look at PSG as an example. PSG are the best example of they are coached fantastically with the balance of personality.
And that's the ambition. Like, obviously, I'm not saying we're going to be PSG, but I always believe in looking at people who have done what you want to do. So naturally, and I do think, for what it's worth, I've been saying for years, Luis Enrique and Arteta, you're very different, but you're very similar in terms of certain intangibles. I always say PSG are Arsenal on steroids in that they have that. Well, for Arsenal fans, anyways, they have that attacking quality. They all defend. Their defenders fly forward. You see both of their fullbacks inverted. Sometimes you see both of their effing fullbacks on the same side. For me, I want us to keep defending well. I don't. Why would you stop something that's good at that we're good at? People only pissed off because we're good. What I would want to see is we've got a good defensive ethos, the way we press, the way we stand, like you said earlier, the way Mikel Arteta positions people. You know, if you're lucky enough to beat our press and beat Declan Rice in the middle of the park, if everyone's fit, you got some monster defenders. With that, I want us to gamble a bit. Like, we might lose a couple percentages in defense, but we might go and nick a goal, etc., etc. I don't think Arteta is going to change radically. I want and I expect us to platform these attacking players, but rightly so. I think he's going to go, why would I stop? He might even be thinking to himself, I done this great defensive work and no one could stop me. There might be a bit of confirmation bias there. I do think coaching is as important as obviously signing players. And I said it earlier, in it, like I think it's fair to say, me and you are two fans that, you know, if we get, God forbid, but if we get to the end of the transfer window and we don't sign, then that's where the crash outs are. Right now, we're kind of chilling. But I am getting to that stage now where I do think there's a pressing need to get these players in, purely because you've got pre-season in it. Get them in for pre-season, get up to speed with your teammates and all that jazz, and everything's kind of popping. I did want to ask you a question, as we kind of move on to the transfers, Obviously, William Saliba's got injured, innit? Like, William Saliba's got injured. Does centre-half become a priority now?
It has to. It has to. And I trust Mascara as well. I like Ben White playing a centre-back. Timber's played there as well, but I need a surety. And that's why I think Arsenal are targeting a centre-back. I don't think it's as pressing need as an attacker after Trossard's departure. I feel like, because we know Saliba is coming back at one point, is can you survive? And with Arteta and defences, I can trust
5 months though, Bhavs.
It is. It's a big injury. It's actually a lot worse than some people thought it was initially, because back injuries are not easy to come back from. Ask any United fan about Matthijs de Ligt, and they'll ask you, like, they'll tell you where is he right now? He's missed like over 200 days for a back injury. But I feel like the attack is a bigger concern or a bigger priority for me, mainly because I know Arteta can coach a defense. I saw Arteta keep clean sheets with Rob Holding at centre back. He needs the quality going forwards. That's the thing I'm looking at the most.
And that's where we need to improve, man. Like, I can't lie, Bravs, I've changed a bit. Like, for me, my immediate priority would have been, a left winger, would have been a centre mid. I would love a striker, whether it's Krupi, whether it's Alvarez, whatever. But I'm kind of mentally prepared to wait for a striker next year, if that makes sense. But if you could do it, great. I do think we need defensive reinforcements. My first profile would have been a Timber, Tomiyasu, Swiss Army knife that can play across the back four. I am now shifting with Saliba, and big up Mascara and our defensive depth. But with Saliba's injury and what we're seeing the reports, and nothing's been confirmed, I'm now drifting towards, can you get me a centre-half that can play right back? Can you get me a centre-half that maybe even genuinely is fighting Saliba, Gabriel? Like, these three got to look at each other in training and go, oh, you know what? Someone's got to miss out. I am looking towards centre-half now. What I would say is, in the same way last summer we was linked with Gurhey and Howson and guys that will cost a lot of money, we pivoted away, or whether it was Berto, whether it was Mikel Arteta, whether it was someone, a wider part of the coaching or analysis team, someone said, oh, what about Mascara for 13 million quid? I know you can't always do that, but with that logic, come scouts do their jobs, maybe save us a bit of quid. So when it does go for the we're not going to get them all, but the Brunos, the Bruno Guimarães, the Morgan Rogers, the Bacolas, these big ticket, Alex Scott, these big ticket items will have more money to kind of play with, because I do think this is an important summer. Like, I don't agree with fans crashing out, but I understand it. Illogically, you're seeing other teams do things. They finally won the league. Everybody's loving Josh Kroenke, Arteta, and Berto were united. You're being linked with names. You're getting a bit of anxiety. So I do understand that. But I do think we've got a real chance to really seize the moment. I think at Arsenal, we've done a lot of talking about the past, and you got to talk about the past. There's a lot of talking about the future, and naturally, you got to keep an eye on that. But I've never quite felt that we've seized the present. And this year or next year, this time next year, I want to be on the stream with you saying we've done something we've never seen in our lifetime, which is not only winning the Prem, but retaining it. Because unfortunately, when I look at our club's history, when we have periods of success, we don't build on it. Like, we'll win a Premier League, we're kind of gone away. We win the Premier League, we're kind of gone away. Fair enough, it's been 20 odd years, but we've won the Premier League. Can we do that now? Because if I'm really harsh, you lot have made history. It's the first Premier League of the Emirates era, first post-Wenger. But if I'm being really harsh from a place of love, as a 31-year-old man, you man ain't done nothing I ain't seen. We ain't won the League Cup. I've never seen that. The last time we won it was a year before. I've seen us get to a Champions League and lose. I've seen us win a Premier League. So now that you've got that monkey off your back and you can see it's attainable now, put some, like I think you said it earlier, show some personality, not just with the new players, but everybody, not in an arrogant way, but start letting your nuts hang. We're not imposters no more, innit? Like, we're actually here now. We've gone from being a competitive, decent team to winners. We're Premier League champions. I know people always want to water it down and our set piece is boring, etc. These same twats would buoy us if we never got over the line, which is why I always tell people, stop seeking outside validation. They just want to kind of rattle you. So that's William Saliba, yeah. We've been linked with plenty of centre halves, but we saying for Konza, because I'm conflicted personally, Bhavs. Like, he was someone, I won't lie, for years I never rated him. I thought it was meaty. Obviously, in the couple years that have come, I still don't rate him that highly, but I think he's decent. I understand why you're playing for Aston Villa, why you're in the England squad. I do think you're a bit shaky, dependent on the price. Centre half and right back, you're great. I think we could do with him. I don't think we're going to get him, but in theory, like, what would you say to Konza?
No, I agree. I don't think we'll get him either. Mainly because I think the price tag that I've seen Arsenal 1 and 4, which is fair at 35, we're not going to get him for 35. Not when Villa are in the Champions League. They won a Europa League. They've lost Tielemans and Digne as well. They might lose Rodgers. He'll cost at least 50, 60 million pounds. He's English as well. That comes with a tax. And he had a decent World Cup. And the one thing I'll say is, do I think he's that much better than Mascara? I don't think so. I don't want to spend 35. Exactly. If I want to sign a right back / centre back, I've already got that in Mascara. I've already got that in Timber and Ben White. So give me a specialist. Pick a position. I know Arteta wants his specialist players that can play left and right, but I want someone who can just come in and that's he keeps the floor at the level. Hincapié on the left-hand side kind of proves that, because he can play in Gabriel's area. He's not Gabriel, and he can play in Calafiori's area and sometimes starts over him as well. So I feel like if we're going to go for a right-back, centre-back, I'd go for more of a right-back than a centre-back. Someone that can play there just in case. I don't think we need Konsa as much as we need attackers going forwards. But if we sign him for a good price, it is what it is.
I don't listen, like you said, and we'll get on to Rodgers, yeah, but confirm the Rodgers deal first. Then if you want Konsa, start playing around with Aston Villa. Like, don't be trying to do other stuff. Again, Aston Villa are within their rights, not just with Rodgers, but with Konsa, depending on the contracts. They demand whatever money you want. He's an England international. He's a key player to you. As you alluded to, a couple key players for Aston Villa have left them. They're going to need more players because they're in the Champions League, and they've obviously been one of those teams that are doing good things. I'll be real, whether it's a Swiss Army knife or like you, a specialist, I feel like these are things scouts go and do your job. If I'm really honest, just scouts go and do your jobs. They don't necessarily have to be crazy profiles, big money. Of course, I want household names. Who wouldn't want us? What team that isn't Real Madrid wouldn't want the ambition of all your players are stars and whatnot? But we've seen stars sign and flop. We've seen stars sign and do well. We've seen unknown entities fail to deliver. We've also seen them over excel. So as cliche as it is, every signing's a risk. And you've just got to kind of make the right signings, man. Before we get into Tzolis, yeah, we've been linked with Morgan Rodgers. Now, obviously, from what you said, you're a big fan of Morgan Rodgers, as am I. He's actually the one I want. I don't really care if he's going to be the left wing or the centre mid. I think off the ball, Arteta would love him. I actually think he would take Eze and Odegaard's place long-term in that role because of what he could offer on the ball. I do think if you were to name like your strongest 11, my strongest 11, and then Mikel's, the left-hand side would be kind of his. I'm a hypocrite, because I agree with what you just said there in terms of I want specialists in it, especially where if I'm honest, left winger. I want a left winger. Morgan Rodgers isn't quite that. I know he can run in behind. He's versatile. He can play off the right. But I would move heaven and earth to go and get this guy. There are some people in the chat, though, that are not convinced with Morgan Rodgers. So, like, are we overrating him? Is he worth the money? Do you see us going to 130-odd million quid, etc., etc.?
I don't think he's worth 130, but I think in the current market in the Premier League, you're going to pay 100. That's just something you have to accept, And could we go for a Barcola? Well, Barcola is apparently also 100 as well, And I think Arteta looks at Rodgers' profile and goes, he offers me more than Barcola does. Barcola is more of a specialist on the left-hand side. If that's your only priority, you go and sign him. But I feel like Arteta wants Rodgers because he can play there, do a very good job there, but play centrally as well. When you sign Tzolis as well, we'll see where he goes. I know a lot of fans are saying that he's not a ceiling raiser. I don't think he is, but I'm always open to being surprised. We, for how many years, have said, like, we want to see also scout players like PSG when they, or when Napoli signed Kvaratskhelia. And we go and sign a player like him in the sense of, a scouted outside of the top 5 leagues. And the first thing the Arsenal fans say is, well, it's not Barcola. So you have to pick and choose what you want. So we'll see what this guy does when he comes in. His numbers are actually insane. As it says there, 22 goals and 29 assists last year. Those ain't just like, okay, he's done decent numbers. And look at that Belgian league as well. And what is produced for the Premier League. Kevin De Bruyne started there. Leandro Trossard started for Genk, Lukaku and co. So they've translated numbers towards the Premier League. And 24 years of age, 35 million pounds, I think it is. It's a good market opportunity. I don't think there's much you can go wrong with that. Because if he comes in and he does all right, you can still get a decent money back for him because teams are going to sign him as well. So, and also I love the fact that he wants to play for Arsenal and he's prioritized Arsenal because I saw reports linking him to Crystal Palace last season after Eze went. I've seen reports linking him to Borussia Dortmund as well. Those are clubs that have decent talent ID when it comes to wide forwards and forward attacking players. So there's a lot of green flags there. I just feel like for Arsenal fans, there was a dream at the start, right, of Barcola plus Rodgers. And because reporters started saying it's a possibility of both and how the separate players, people started to go, it's possible, it's possible. When I saw the price tags for both, I said, no, not a chance. We're not spending 101 and 100 on another. We've got money, we can spend it, but I'd rather spend 100 on a wide player. And then if you're going to spend another 100 M's going forwards, let it be more of a central player like a Julian Alvarez.
I'm with you with that. And with Tzolis, obviously, I'm not watching Club Brugge week in, week out, but 40 million euros. I mean, if I had 40 million euros in my personal account, I would tell you it's a lot of money. But in today's day and age, it's not a lot of money. As you said there, if he doesn't quite deliver, you can kind of sell him. I actually want scouts to do their job because I can't really see much value for money. He's 24, so there's obviously that longevity. One thing I like about him is when you look at a number of our players, there's different ways you can quantify adversity in it. Like Gabriel Magalhaes has been for adversity. David Raya has been for adversity. Declan Rice, Saliba, actually, when he was signed and, he went on the loans, there was rumors Arteta don't really like him. And now look at him, and plenty of Eze getting released and whatnot. He's got that because he returns to this country a much better player with a bigger point to prove than when he initially arrived at 19 when he went Norwich. So I always look on top of what you said about he wants to play for Arsenal. Those good and bad periods, they kind of make you. From what I see, looks more of a Trossard replacement. Looks like a thinkers man's footballer. Obviously, he got a lot of goals and assists in Belgium. I think there's going to be a bit of an exchange rate. I don't feel this would be our only signing, but I'm actually cool with it. I understand when people are looking at what Spurs have done, gassed about what United have done, City always making it happen. A couple of other clubs are making moves. I understand it, but I'm not against it, if I'm honest. I've got a question for you because it would be fair to say Trossard was our first choice left winger, innit? I think we're going to miss his clutch goals for one, but that's not my question. We assume he started the majority of the games, started the Champions League final. So we've lost our first choice left winger. There's Martinelli and there's Tzolis. Who is the starter right now? Is it Martinelli for you because that's all you can quantify because that's what you've seen? Or is it a Tzolis?
It still would have to be a Tzolis, actually. Not even because he's a new signing. It's because when you look at the front three that thrived the most last year, it was Gyökeres, Trossard and Saka. And who's the closest profile that we then would have to Trossard? It would be, Tzolis. So that's what I'm looking at going, okay, like that stylistically works when you have your striker being the hold, not even a holder, but a player that running behind being an outlet. And then you've got the ball to feet players. Martinelli's another outlet. And for him to thrive as a striker, we need a striker like Kai Havertz, or we need a striker like Gabriel Jesus in 2022-23. So I'd still say Tzolis would be a starter basing off that. But I'm intrigued to see what offers coming from Martinelli as well, because I don't think he'll leave. I think, for the right price tag, I would probably.
You sell Martinelli?
Yeah, for the right price tag.
What's the right price in today's day and age? Because I wouldn't pay this.
But I'm talking like a lot of money. I'm not talking 60, like 40 M's. I'm taking like 70, 60.
Yeah. I think in this crazy market, I need that.
But I don't think he'll leave. And look, I would love to give Nelly a chance next season and go like, you know what? I've seen you do something back in 2023. I want to see that again. But we're not going to platform him as our best player. And where in 2022-23, we platformed him as one of our best players. And let's say Zinchenko and Xhaka behind him and Jesus next to him. He was put in an environment to excel. Martinelli's peak is not worth platforming over Bukayo Saka or over even, let's say, a Morgan Rogers. That's the difference. So he can get you numbers, he can get you goals. Like we saw it for Brazil. I do wonder though, like, having seen him at the World Cup play more centrally, what can Arteta learn from Ancelotti? Because clearly Carlo knows how to use Martinelli to a stage where, you think about Neymar's last ever World Cup game potentially was a game where Martinelli started as a 10 over Neymar. So there's got to be something there to work off. That's why when I see it for the right price, like I don't mean like 50 million pounds, let Martinelli go. I'm talking 70, 80 million pounds easily, which I don't think a team will pay right now unless it's coming out of Saudi Arabia. So there's still a player there. And I would love to be, get to a stage next year where we're going like, this is the player that we knew we had in 2023. The guy that scored 15 goals and equaled Firmino's record. It's just that I don't trust Arteta, less than the player, to go and platform him in the right way where he becomes one of the stars again. Because he can become a star. Remember, it was the front three of, it was Saka and Martinelli. A lot of people will actually put a Martinelli over Saka in 22-23 because of the goals that he was scoring. And as a finisher, he's a really good finisher. But we haven't platformed him correctly for ages. And that's why we've got to a stage where he wasn't even a starter last year. He scored one league goal last year. Scored a lot of goals in the Champions League, but one league goal last year. So I've just got to the stage of acceptance now that we're not going to see Arteta do with Martinelli what he can do because he sees other players that he believes are better, bigger priorities.
You know what it is with Martinelli for me? Yeah? It's just a face of, obviously, if we did get Morgan Rogers, like you've got Morgan Rogers, you've got Tzolis. At this moment in time, clearly I've been advocating for Tzolis in it, but I don't know you in it. I don't know what that's going to look like in an Arsenal shirt. Morgan Rogers, I've seen you do it on the left. I've seen you do it centrally. I'm actually a big fan of your ability to play on the right. So we'd have a Bukayo Saka, you'd have a Dalman, you got Noni, and you'd have him. But I don't know if long-term Rogers is going to be the answer as an outlet out there. So that would be my thinking with Martinelli. With Martinelli, the only thing I disagree with what you said there is I don't even think it's an Arteta thing no more, man. I think once you with Martinelli now, I think there was times I used to run that. I just don't think the penny's dropped. I don't think your footballing IQ is there. And I love him, but I think you're an instinctive footballer. You're better in open spaces and all of those kind of things. So it's more of a thing where it's not that I've given up on you, but I don't kind of have those conversations. You're more just a tool in a toolbox. And I know you're in scary territories when you talk about this, but he does help out defensively. He does have that pace, which is an asset. So I'm on just keeping it for one more season. I would actually extend that to Kai Havertz, Martin Odegaard, and Martinelli. Like if they left today, I wouldn't cry in it because I feel I like you lot. You've chipped in, but I am in the next 2 years, 3 years or less. I'm looking at these areas in terms of evolution, but you lot are tools in the toolbox. And again, with Martinelli, obviously Bacola's better than him, innit? But Bacola, Madueke, Martinelli, I think you're all three P's of the same pod in that. I feel we say, at least with the two at our club, we say the same things. That Bacola, I think he's talented. If the penny could drop with him, I'd have rather us got him last year than Noni, respectfully, because that all the talking points we had with Noni last year, that's what I'm on running for Bacola. If Bacola had that consistency, he'd be one of the best left wingers in the world, where the left wing market, let's have it right, ain't really amazing. I'm not really moved in 90 minutes. If there's three actions that result in a goal being scored, like a ball's come over the top, I've made a run, that's one. My first touch is good, that's two. And then I need to slot it far or near post. That decision-making, I don't really think it's there. And this is what I mean by I think some Arsenal fans are overrating Bacola. Not that they are wrong in thinking he's talented, but you get into this world where you move like he's the Messiah and he's on a level that he's actually not. We'd be paying a lot for potential. I think even when you watch the World Cup, he's only really looked good in open spaces. And I get it, there's that. But the reality is for Arsenal, the ball's in play less in the Premier League. They're compact units. People are not going to open up against us. You could argue that we need a left winger, but looking at the France thing, I know we're not going to get Doué. It'd make more sense to get a Doué, which goes back to what you're saying with kind of the Rodgers link. So it's a bit of it's a weird one, man. I wanted to ask you as well, as we get on to Morgan Rogers, well, as you mentioned Morgan Rogers, would you rather go big on Morgan Rogers or big on Guimarães? So like Guimarães is 85 to 100 for argument's sake. To be honest, Rogers is going to be, I would say, 120-ish, 116-ish. I don't think they're getting 130. I think Villa know it too. It's how far we want to go for these moves.
I'd go for Rogers because I feel like as much as I want to improve the midfield, the forward line is my priority. I need a level raiser, and I feel like Rogers can become that. That's the difference. I think Guimarães would definitely help us massively improve, help Declan Rice, give us personality, but I want both. Don't get it twisted. I want both. If I had to pick one, I'd pick Rogers any day of the week.
I don't know, Bhavs, man, because I want Rogers. I've wanted him since before 2019. The first time I watched this guy is when I more used to do the youth content, and we beat at West Bromwich Albion's under 18s, and this guy was running rings around us, and I just think he's got the chaos, the personality to really thrive. Guimarães is an Arsenal midfielder. That's a man we should have got when he was at Lyon. Like, he would complement Rice so well. Obviously, when we don't, they're quite different because I don't think he's got the engine Rice has. But when Rice isn't there, we'd probably feel a lot more confident. That was my rhetoric. Remember when we was linked with Tonali? That's why I would have had Tonali, because immediately when we was linked with Tonali, I thought of the West Ham away game where Rice went right back, and you could see where he's in problems. And I probably, as long as I've been making content with you, every summer I mention midfield, I just want to sit there and say, right, I rate Zubimendi, I rate Miles Lewis-Skelly, I rate Declan Rice, and I rate Bruno Guimarães. There's many different partnerships we could do. Across the course of a season, 50 games, you do have a Marino, you do have a Kai Havertz, you have Eze, Odegaard, maybe even a Rodgers, fingers, toes, everything crossed, where you can be a bit cute and clever in midfield. You have got Nwaneri on paper, even though as much as I want Nwaneri to stay, I think it looks dark. And that's another question, man. What are you saying for Nwaneri? Like, do you think he's gone, or do you feel because our preseason preparations are going to be disrupted via injuries and people not being at the World Cup, there's an opportunity for him, especially in the early stages of the Prem?
What I want to see with Nwaneri is exactly what Real Madrid done with Nico Paz. I know he's back at Como now, but get him gone for a sec, put a buyback clause in his contract. If he thrives, perfect. And if he doesn't, then we don't have to keep having these conversations. That's what we need to do. He needs to have first team football where he's a guaranteed starter. At Arsenal, there's a different level of pressure. So if he goes, Mikel Arteta, Mikel Arteta goes, I want to use you in the first team next season in certain games, he now feels a lot of pressure. And I don't think he's got a lot of personality on the ball, but he's not got that same personality as a Lewis Skelly, who can come in and just go, cool, I'll make it happen. I'll play in a Champions League final and I'll make it happen. When Ethan's a bit more shy, he's a bit more introverted. And that's where I feel like he needs to go out elsewhere and to see what he does. Look, don't forget, there was a time with Smith Rowe, we were saying, loan him out and he can make it out. And then we saw that, at Fulham, he's a good level player. He's not Arsenal caliber.
He's just not
and
that
seeing that at another club doesn't affect us now. Exactly. So if one area goes to someone like, Como as an example, but another club inside the Premier League or outside of the Premier League, makes a name and becomes a superstar, perfect. Have a buyback clause, have a first refusal. Then you can bring him back to Arsenal and know that you've got an asset that you've let train away. You could say you loan him out as well, time and time again, but I don't think it's the same as if you just let him go. You can actually go. And if you could prove yourself elsewhere, what Real Madrid did with Nico Paz was so clever. And I know now that they've let him go back there again. And essentially, they've loaned him out on a permanent, bought him back for, was it like £10 million? And then sold him again for profit.
Yeah.
It's honestly, that should be a template that Arsenal should be looking to emulate.
I think you're bang on the money. What are you saying for someone in the chat said Antonio Nusa? I'm not gonna lie. If rumors are true, and obviously rumors are rumors, 50-60 million euros. Bhavs, I can't lie, I'm on taking a punt. I like him, I think he's you see, when we talk about potential and all this kind of jazz, I'd rather Arteta work with them level talents. I would take a punt if we can't get certain men. But what are you saying for him?
No, I like Nusa, man. I've seen his numbers as well. Last year's Bundesliga and even at this year's World Cup. I don't think he didn't start against England, right? Because the guy that scored the goal was the player starting in his place.
Yeah,
but
even that,
he's a good player.
Take a punt on him. He scored.
Yeah, he's got good ball carrying, very good ball carrying. But I just don't think Leipzig let go of him and Diomande in the same summer, unless it's an insane price tag. And I don't think it is 50-60. And also, I feel like Tzolis is that Nusa type signing, age-wise as well. I know Tzolis is slightly older at 24 and Nusa's like 21. Very good player. I wouldn't have minded him if you'd said to me, look, get a Rodgers or a Barcola plus a Nusa or Tzolis. I'd go for Nusa probably over Tzolis because I feel like I want more of an actual, proper, potential world-class ball carrier. But we've gone for Tzolis instead. So that secondary slot has been taken up. So I would take a punt if we didn't sign Tzolis, but it looks like that was going to happen now.
Do you think we can get Julian Alvarez? Because for me, I like him. I understand why Arteta likes him. I wanted him when he was at City. We all saw him on YouTube when he was at River Plate. For me, obviously, if Barcelona stepped away, you've got a chance. But it's like a girl being interested in you, and I'm still shouting her. I might as well just fuck off. That's how I look at it, innit? But like, what are you saying for Alvarez?
It's funny, because I was prepared to let go of it time ago. And every Arsenal fan goes, look, he's probably going Barca or staying at Atletico. Some report will come out of nowhere from reliable people as well.
Out of nowhere gets you gas.
And I'll be like, okay, wait. So I'm trying to move on. Like I thought it was done, and now I can't. So I'm thinking, wait, should I leave it open or not? And that's the difference with Alvarez right now. I think we can get him for sure, but like we saw at Liverpool last year, we thought, okay, once they got Ekitike, they're not going to get Isak. They got Ekitike and Isak and Wirtz. So you can spend money, and Arsenal will have the money to spend. Teams can spend this money. It's more about like that, man. We don't, but we can. Because Liverpool year before signed no one the year before.
But if I'm honest,
if you're told Liverpool fan, exactly.
Go on.
If you're told Liverpool fan in 2025 when they won the league, or the year before when they signed just Chiesa, and the year later you'd sign Isak and Ekitike. Do you get me? So we can operate like that. We did it last year as well when we signed Eze on top of Gyökeres and on top of all the other players that we signed as well. We can operate like that. It's just a matter of what's your priority. For me, it goes Rodgers first, then a Guimarães, then potentially Alvarez, and that's because we have Gyökeres and Havertz.
Do you know what it is for me, Bhavs? You're right, and I do think we'll sign players. I don't know if it'll be Guimarães and Barcola and Rodgers and etc. So I do make you right. I just feel I'm conflicted because when I've got my fan cap on, we've ended our 22-year drought. All the fans, every fragment of this football club, we're moving in the right way. We got to a Champions League final. We're at the pinnacle. We address certain things tactically. We bring in certain level raisers. We're running away with things. But then I look at it objectively, and I make all of that right. I still believe in all of that. But then I look at what I believe Andre Alberto was brought in for. Beyond the obvious, clearly he's way more competent than obviously his predecessor, Edu, innit? He's clearly more competent. He's dealt with the contracts. He's shown we can pivot away from deals. He's bringing in all his other people. We see all those rumors, doing things around youth recruitment. But I think and he's handled the contracts. I think everyone forgets we entered this season, Salibas, Gabriels, Bakayos, Ethan, Lewis Skelly. There was none of those contract stuff dragging on, whether Ranieri stays or not, we stand to make money. I do feel, though, when he signed for this club, because the squad's been together for a while, I do think there's a remit to start putting our wages in a healthier light. This is why I said earlier, as much as I like Martin Odegaard, you're on big money, especially if you've got Eze, and if he keeps doing what he's doing, and one day Dalman's going to move inside. Evolution waits for no one in it. So I think there's a decision to make with him if he doesn't buck up his ideas. I think someone like Kai Havertz, because if we're honest with ourselves, he probably is in Mikel Arteta's strongest 11. But could you get a better striker than him? Probably. He's another one. This is why I think Nwaneri might go. It's a moneymaker thing. So I do feel I think there's an emphasis to bring some money in and look after our wages. That's before I even talk about a Fabio Vieira, Reece Nelson, which I'm sure everybody in the chat actually forgot he was at the club. But I do make you right. I would love it to happen. I personally can't see a reality where we get Morgan Rogers, Bruno Guimarães, and there's another one I'm missing out, and Julian Alvarez. I think you'd be lucky to get one of the two. Now, admittedly, I'm quite pessimistic. I didn't think we'd get Rice. I didn't think we'd get Eze. I didn't think we'd get Gyökeres. I didn't think we'd get Bamian, Alexis, or Ozil. So maybe I'm a good omen in that. But it's just, for me, Bhavs, it's a thing where I think Rodgers would be interested with Arsenal. I think we'd be interested with them. I think that all of that kind of stuff, personal terms, none of that's going to be an issue. It's big money that you have to put down at the table. Like, I don't know how you look at it, but you could argue it's a buyer's market because it's clear if you pay 100 odd million, you get what you want, or it's a seller's market. Because we've got two options. You either buy, we can't get Kvaratskhelia, but you get a Kvaratskhelia when he's a household name. You get a Morgan Rogers. You put the money down for Krupi of Bournemouth, or you find Morgan Rogers when he's obviously at Middlesbrough. You get Mo Salah when he's in Italy. You mentioned Kevin De Bruyne, and I'll throw Gundogan into it. You get them when they're in Germany before this kind of things happen. You get Adam Wharton when he's in the Championship. I know you can't always do that because, we can't always develop talents, but we've got two kind of ways to maneuver. So, yeah, man, my obsessions with Morgan Rogers is his flipping quality. What's your obsessions with hating the guy, man? This is why football is a great game. AFC stuff update on Rogers and Alvarez. What's been said here? I mean, as Bhavs is here, we can read it out. Arsenal are set to bid for Morgan Rogers after holding talks with both the player and Aston Villa, with club-to-club negotiations expected to accelerate after the World Cup. Arsenal continue to explore a deal for Julian Alvarez, with Andrea Berta also in contact with Atletico Madrid, who are currently more inclined to do business with a non-La Liga rival if they are to sell. Junior Krupi is another profile on Arsenal's list. What do you make of both of those stuff? Big up Boston for that update.
Yeah, no, I feel like the Rogers stuff was expected. I thought as soon as the World Cup was over, that's my first priority. Like, okay, let's see how long we have to wait before we get a Rogers update. So that's kind of expected. The Alvarez stuff, I'm going to sit with you on the pessimistic side. Until I see an actual offer get accepted and the player wants to come to Arsenal, it's done, then I go, okay, cool, that's happening. Now I can think about how he suits our team. Until then, it's like more of a down the pipeline type stuff. For me, I'm planning next year right now as a creator. Talk about Rogers. Yeah, it is very exciting, but let's get step by step. Rogers first, midfielder sorted. Alvarez is a bonus. Look, if you told Arsenal fans 3 weeks ago that we'd signed two wide forwards, like a number 10 wide forward, like Rogers and Tzolis, and you signed a Guimarães, we would have taken that. Alvarez is a bonus. If we get him, cool. And if we don't get him, I still think Havertz and Gyökeres in the current league are more than good enough to get us enough goals to win another title.
Who's more of a priority, though, Guimarães or Rogers?
Oh, it has to be, I told you, Rogers. I feel the forward line needs more improvement. And if we hadn't let go of Trossard, then I'd go, cool, we can probably go Bruno, because Bruno makes Rice, and Bruno is probably the best midfield puncher in the league. But we let go of Trossard. And I don't think Tzolis is at the caliber yet to be a long-term replacement for this season. So then I need to get a star. I need to get a level raiser. And at his age as well, like we talk about £100 million being a lot of money. He's 23. He's 23 years of age. How many years can you expect? If you get what you want from Rogers, which is potentially 7-8 years, that's going to be worth the money. And 100 M's is not what it used to be either. It is not what it used to be. I'm seeing Elliot Anderson go for £116 million. 100 M's is not what it used to be.
And you're going to see many more.
Exactly. And it's like Arsenal won't spend that money unless they're convinced about the profile. In the same window or the same year that Chelsea signed Enzo Fernandez for 100 and whatever it was, and then Caicedo as well. Arsenal just looked at Rice and said, look, here's a lot of money. He is expensive, but he will be worth it. And I think that's how they're seeing it with Morgan Rogers. They're seeing it as, we can look at this guy down the line and go, he was worth the money. And I think he would become probably a record signing at that point as well.
You know what it is? Rice is, out of all the guys, and I'm sure there might be more, but all the Prem ones, Rice is the first one that I look at that's gone for 100 odd million. And you made 105 million look like peanuts. You made it actually look like a steal and a deal. I disagree with you in the sense that Rogers is the one I'd want over Guimarães, because I just think he's quality, yeah. But if the key word is priority, I think it would be Guimarães, because I love Zubamendi. But Zubamendi, we kind of ran you into the ground. You had a great first half of the season. You dropped off. If Rice ain't there, we're in issues. As much as I like Morgan Rogers, and you could play off the left, in my heart of hearts, are you a long-term out-and-out left winger? Maybe not. In that 10 role, do I like you? Do I think, as I said earlier, do I think you would take Odegaard and Eze's spot? I do, but do we necessarily need that on paper? No. Midfield is where I'm looking at, because really it is just Rise, Zubi, and Lewis Skelly. I know Kai and Marino can move there. Technically, we've got Norgard. Somebody quick and fast. I'll give you £1 million when I get it. If you could tell me how many starts Norgard had this season in the Premier League, none, trick question. So I would say if the keyword's priority is Guimarães for me, should we be spending... Well, I mean, you say everything from 75 all the way to 100 million on Bruno Guimarães, because some would say, I don't agree with this, but he's 28, turning 29 in a couple of months.
I think the max I'd spend on him is 70, and even that's pushing it. I think he's a really good player, but he wants to come to Arsenal. We have to use that to our advantage. You have to use that in negotiations. He's already come out to Newcastle and said, I want to go to Arsenal. So we know the player wants us and only us as a priority. Use that to your advantage and get him for 65, 70 million pounds. I'd accept that. In the market where Spurs have spent all that money on Tonali. And they talk about Arsenal spending so much money, but those men have broken the transfer market again. City and Spurs, both equally to blame for that. Because you've offered these clubs their money. So they're going, okay, well, some clubs are going to pay this money. Let's just hold on to the price tag. Because at the start, don't forget, Rodgers was at 80 million pounds. And I don't think if City sign Anderson and then Spurs don't sign Tonali and Fernandes, but Fernandes was meant to go play in next year's championship.
Back-to-back
realize that, right? He was meant to play next year's championship. If no one signs him, he plays in championship next year. Who spends 85 million pounds on a championship player? Tottenham. That's the answer.
The market's gone crazy, my boy. It's gone mad.
Yeah,
it's gone mental. And that's another thing, yeah, because I've kind of touched on it, but not actually directly. Where do you stand on this whole Bruno's 28 turning 29? Me, I don't care about it.
Oh.
I understand longevity, all of that jazz, but I'm not being funny. 28 29 is not 98 turning 99. You could get 3, 4, 5 years out of him, and at the end of that 5 years, he could end up becoming a squad player for us. But yeah, where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I don't mind Bruno's age, mainly because he makes our midfield pivot the best in the league by a country mile.
It would be stupid, you know. Rice and him.
That's what it is. Rice and if I could pick one midfield in the league that complements Rice, it'd be Bruno Guimarães.
And
there's not a single other midfield I'd pick. Not in this Premier League. Not even Rodri, because Rodri and Rice don't complement each other as much as I think Bruno and Rice does.
If we can pull off any of the names we've said, then I'm all for it, man. We're absolutely laughing, man. Like, I mean, a lot of these players are not worth the price tags, man. They're not. And again, I know it's not the same as this year, and I know they were all signed at different times, people. And I know I'm being a bit silly, but even if, for argument's sake, Rodgers, let's just say it was 130, take it or leave it. Yeah, I'm not like, just say it was that. You spent 65 million on Kai. Don't get me wrong, I like him. You spent 50 million on Madueke, not trying to lead a witch hunt. You spent 30 million on a Mikel Merino. You spent whatever on Fabio Vieira. I know there's different timings, yeah, but if you add all of that up, that gets you the Morgan Rogers. And you could argue we are getting to that stage now where less is kind of more. I know with Saliba's injury, there's a lot of stuff. We, you know, for many an Arsenal fan will say, we need a defender. We've got a backup goalie. We need a defender. You know, Morgan Rogers, a centre mid, maybe a striker, and definitely a left winger. That's on top of, we don't know what Mikel Arteta is saying. He could say, I need all of that and a left back, but I do think generally we need less in it. So it'd be interesting, man. It'll be interesting. Hopefully we can do this, man, because I think I speak for every Arsenal fan. A minimum has to be retained in that Premier League. I do want my FA Cup back. I do expect to be into the quarters and the semis of the Champions Leagues. I don't necessarily believe we can win it. I never do kind of believe that, but I hope I can be proven wrong. A big reason as to why my faith would go up is I think you need them X factors, Bhavs. Like, I remember when I think it would have been Arteta's first year managing us in the Champions League, and we played against Bayern Munich. We never got embarrassed. We held it up. But I remember the Athletic articles and all us fans saying we need players with difference makers and stuff. Now I know we've tried to do that. I know there's certain man I would say, you know, Saka on his day, Eze, these ones, that one. But I look at that time period and I look at now. I don't really think much changed. And I know it's easier said than done, bro. But then you go and look at, you know, Doué was at Rennes and Bacola was at Lyon. A couple of these guys that were all waffling about, they were there. So you need to be proactive.
I'll put it this way to you, right? From that Bayern Munich game, I feel like the main problem that Arsenal had is we didn't have players that thought they were the main character.
Yeah.
They were willing to be the second characters. And when you look at like this year's World Cup and the best teams, like Argentina know exactly what they are because they know Messi's the best player. He's the main character. And France do it with Mbappe, you know, and Spain do it with Yamal. For Arsenal, we want it to be Bukayo Saka, but with his injuries or whatever, he hasn't been that guy just consistently enough yet. He will become that one day, not just quite yet. I feel like Rodgers and Guimarães both come into this team knowing they're main characters. They know they're the guys.
But they ain't want to prem
in that game. Knowing that in that game, because the one thing when I look at Eze, right, I think Eze's profile on paper is amazing, and he can be a main character, but sometimes he fails to impose himself. I don't think that's a problem with Rodgers, nor do I think that's a problem with Guimarães.
I can't lie, we need to better. I know you're working somewhere and I don't know you personally, but just get it done, man. Just get it done. Newcastle not selling for 70 million. Listen, it comes down to how much we want these players, how much they're prepared to make this move happen. And then there's obviously what we think is fair value, and then what we think we're going to pay on top. Like, obviously, at the time, do you think Arsenal wanted to pay 105 million for Declan Rice? Obviously, he's worth it. We love him. But they had to weigh up the cons and say, for argument's sake, wow, they're asking for 30, 40 million more than we want. We put the money down, Carl. We believe in him that much. And if you do believe in these players, we've got nothing to worry about. My big thing is, I'm happy to be sitting here with the chat and Bhavs and talking about Bacola and Rodgers and Alvarez and this one and that one. Great. If we don't sign them, oh, man, I want them in it. I'm kind of selling myself the dream. My big thing is, I'll move away from the names and look at the profiles. Just make sure when the windows close, we have these profiles, because then I'll be, let's go get some more silverware and seize the present, man. But with that being said, though, man, we've had Bhavs here for an hour. Short, sweet, but always informative. Bhavs, what content you got to come out? Where can people find you? Not that I'm sure they know about your end.
No stress, my guy. I got my 2 channels. You got Bhavs 14 and Bhavs.
Yeah.
Bhavs is more just like raw, unfiltered content, and then obviously socials are just banging out content right now. World Cup, in my eyes, is over because I was like more of an England fan than anyone else.
Me as well.
But we'll see. Obviously, now that the hopefully the World Cup comes to an end, and then it's all focused back to Arsenal, because 21st of August, first game of the season against Ipswich, Premier League champions are back. So the Premier League champions
bring on Coventry, man. We're the main characters, bro.
Let's go, man. Now it is.
We got to defend this, man. We've got a chain to protect, man. There's a lot of people, oh, you only want it because PGMOL and defending and this and that. As I always say, if my team, my manager, if we're really not that good, why did we win the league? Winners win and losers explain. You heard Bhavs there, people. Make sure you're following him. I'm not sure what this means. Any of you going Dublin, I'm not sure what's going on in Dublin personally, but yeah, man. So make sure you're following both of Bhavs' channels. When you get a chance, Bhavs, send me the second channel so I can pull it up. You lot, most importantly, stay safe, stay blessed. Bhavs, one love, my fellow champion. You lot, we're out. Safe. Come on, Dios. Big up, Bhavs. Another great guest. Big up the chat. Can't do without you. Yeah, one love. Make sure you go subscribe over to Bhavs' 2 channels. Can't imagine you're not like this. Yeah, man.